Hello students, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending upon when you are watching this video lecture. After discussing couple of important topics and scoring topics like BRS and final accounts, let us continue this rapid revision with not for profit organizations financial statements. So financial statements of not for profit organizations is the next topic we are going to discuss. So first of all, what is the difference between any other organization and a not for profit organization? Name itself indicates. Normally any organization, any business or profession generally will try to earn some profit. That is the basic objective of any commercial organization. So there can be different types of organizations. There is no limit for the number of types of organizations, but at a broader level we can classify very broader level we can classify the organizations into those which are in the business of trading, means simply buying and selling of goods. Second type of organizations can be those which are in the business of manufacturing, which means manufacturing and selling of goods. Selling is common. Manufacturer will not eat the goods, what they do or produce. So they will also sell. But trader will just simply buy and sell. Manufacturer will manufacture and sell. And there can be other organizations which are service sector related organizations. So service sector is a very broader word. So whatever the type of organizations which are generally commercial organizations can fall normally into these three categories. So service sectors can be like hotels or transportation business, like that. So many types of service sector organizations, telecom services, electricity, distribution, like that. So many services can be there which are part of service sector. So we don't need to know all the types of organizations that exist. We can generally imagine so many types of organizations are there in the world and in our country which do some commercial activities, and naturally the essence of all that commercial activities will be converted to books of accounts in the form of accounting process, journal, ledger, trial balance, final accounts. So that is how normally any organization which aims for profit, which is having a profit motive, will record and report its financial transactions, then condition, position and performance. That is the normal regular thing that we always observe, and final accounts is one of such examples. Though most of the times we encounter trading organizations in our problems, but not necessarily always. There can be manufacturing organizations also for which final accounts questions can be asked. So in case of manufacturing organizations, there will be one more account in addition to the trading and profit and loss account, that should be manufacturing account. So they will have three accounts for the ascertainment of financial performance: manufacturing account, trading account, then profit and loss account. Normally for traders who just buy and sell the goods, we have trading account and profit and loss account. But these are all, whatever the nature of the organizations may be, ultimately all of them are profit motive. All of them are having profit as their objective. So finally the resultant of the profit and loss account is net profit. That is the common point. However, there is a other type of organizations also which exist, which can be called as not for profit organizations. So we have to understand, and a lot of times some people misunderstand this, that these organizations will not earn a profit. No, nobody is saying that they will not earn a profit. Whether they will earn a profit or loss, whatever it is, we don't care. But their objective is not to earn a profit. So it is only the objective, not the reality. Reality can be anything. But certainly, the objective of the organization is not to earn profit. It is some service, some benefit to be given to society or a group of members like that. So such type of organizations can be called as not for profit organizations. So we should not be going into this word profit too much and think that really they are all service motive, really they are all non-commercial, really they are all doing a great service to the society and all. That is not required from our side, because that is always subject to the facts of the organization. Some organizations are really there which are not actually intending to make profit also, but some organizations, on the face of them, they are not for profit organizations, but their intention is huge profits. For example, in Indian context, we can see the educational institutions like schools and colleges. Actually speaking, legally, educational institutions, whether they are schools, whether they are colleges, they are supposed to be run only through cooperative societies or trusts. And you see these names also normally on the buses. There will be some trust or a society in which name this school or college will be run. So on the face of it, legally speaking, they are all not for profit organizations. So that is what they officially proclaim. But we all know the reality. We all know the reality in essence, how they try to maximize their profits, etc. So there should be a clear distinction made between what is technical and legal and what is real. Our focus at the learning stage should not be on the real things. Whatever the organization that we face as a problem in front of us in our practicing of questions, we have to just give it a name, that's all. Not for profit organization, that's all. We should not take it too literally. We should not think that, oh, these are all really not for profit and all. That doesn't matter to us. That is always related to the actual life, which is outside the purview of our learning process and the examination process. So what should we focus on is, okay boss, there are some organizations which are called not for profit organizations. Whether they are really or not, we don't care. They are called not for profit organizations. So the type of books of accounts that they maintain, or the type of presentation of the financial statements what they make to the users, is not same as those organizations which are generally run for profit. That is the only difference. So what is the big difference here as far as the presentation of the final accounts is concerned, and as far as the general reporting aspects of the not-for-profit organizations are concerned? In general, we will have a trading account and profit and loss account for a regular profit-seeking organization. The same thing in the case of not-for-profit organizations, we just call that income and expenditure account. That is the only difference. The concept is same. What are all debits here, expenses, what are all credits here, incomes. Everything is same. But what types of incomes they will have, what types of expenses they will have, that will be different. Naturally, every organization will not have the same type of income. Every organization will not have sales only as income. These organizations may have something else as income, whether you call it sales, whether you call it subscriptions, or sometimes it can be the fees received or the remuneration received, whatever it is. The nature of that we don't have to worry about too much. But what we have to definitely know is it an income or expenditure? That's all. That we can anybody can identify easily. And if it is an income, we have to credit the account. Which account? Income and expenditure account. And if there is something which is an expenditure, that has to be debited, which is again debited to the income and expenditure account. So what is the difference between trading and profit and loss account? In essence, there is no difference. Only the way we call it is different, and the presentation wise there is little difference, and of course the items within them can be little different. Other than that, there is no big difference in conceptual terms between these two. So income and expenditure account, if we are preparing, we don't think we are preparing something special, something extra, something great. Nothing we are separately preparing. We are simply preparing P&L account only. But we don't call it P&L because these organizations are considered to be, supposed to be not for profit. If you use the word profit, that doesn't look good. So rather what we call it either surplus or deficit. So profit or loss, the words are replaced by surplus or deficit, and the name of the account, instead of trading and profit and loss account, we just call that now income and expenditure account. That is the difference, only difference. Then there will be balance sheet here in normal organizations also. Here also there will be balance sheet. There is no big deal. There can be balance sheet even for not for profit organizations. Sometimes, for expression sake, these things can be called as a statement of affairs. But don't use this word unless the question uses that word. If the question says prepare a statement of affairs, you should just simply prepare balance sheet. But heading will be statement of affairs. But again, when should you use that word? Only if the question asks you to do so. Otherwise, normally, balance sheet is what we know already and what is the same thing that we'll prepare here also. Occasionally, the word statement of affairs can also be used. We should just know that. Enough. If it is used in the question, then only we will use it in the answer. Otherwise, we don't. So, what are the final accounts for a not-for-profit organization? Just like any other organization, here also income and expenditure account and balance sheet will be prepared. They are the two things that have to be prepared as final accounts of not-for-profit organizations. So, what are we doing in not-for-profit organizations separately? Nothing extra we are doing. We are simply preparing final accounts only. The only point is the way the question is given, the information is given. These things need not be the same way as we encounter for other types of organizations. That is the only difference. But the concepts will not change. The thought process will not change. The debit credit will not change. And what are we actually doing really will not change. Names just changed. Just because names changed, what is a big deal about it? There is nothing. Now comes another point here. Usually in the not-for-profit organizations, in addition to the income and expenditure account and also in addition to the balance sheet, there is something which is also prepared that is called receipts and payments account. Oh, looks like a big thing, looks like a different thing. Again, nothing different. It is simply cash book. Cash book we know. Receipts and payments account is what? Nothing but cash book. So what will be there in that? Name itself tells that. Receipts will be there, payments will be there. Okay, receipts will be on which side? Naturally debit side. Payments will be on which side? On the credit side. Just like cash book. Here also we will have debit side, credit side. All receipts will be debited. All payments will be credited. Just like cash book. What this will also have as a resultant figure is the closing cash balance. Cash or bank, whatever it is, we don't care. So the receipts and payments account is nothing but cash book. So what is that new in the not-for-profit organizations? Actually nothing new. We are just using different names. What we normally call P&L account, here we are calling income and expenditure account. What we normally call balance sheet, here also we are calling it balance sheet only, but occasionally we may call it statement of affairs. What we normally call cash book or cash account or bank account, we are calling it receipts and payments account. What difference is there here? Nothing is different. But point is, the way the question is given, the way the requirements of the question are, those things will be different. So that is why it may look like a different topic, but actually it is not at all a different topic. It is a continuation of the basic accounting knowledge that anybody has. So what will be the basic accounting knowledge that is required? The crux of this chapter is all in the accrual concept. The concept of accrual, that is the core concept which will be applicable in this entire chapter. So why this is important? Of course, even normal accounts also, regular commercial organizations accounts also, we prepare on accrual basis only. Rarely we prepare on cash basis. We always prepare books of accounts on accrual basis. So what is this concept? Accrual concept, mercantile system of accounting, what we call it, in which we will consider those things as incomes which are earned during the year. We don't have to worry about whether they are really received or not. So received does not matter. Earned matters in case of incomes. Same way in case of, this is expenditures. Expenditures means payment does not matter. Earnings means here, the E means expenditure, let us say. If there is any expenditure will be that when it is spent, not when it is paid. So, income is that which is earned, not when it is received. So the point is, if you observe, the names are also same. We have income and expenditure account. We have receipts and payments account. If you just observe, what matters for accrual concept is income. not receipt, not just receipt. What matters for accrual concept is expenditure, not payment. So there can be certain things which are received but they are not related to this period, so they cannot be considered as incomes of this period. There can be certain expenses which are paid but they are not related to this year. They may be related to the earlier years or they may be related to the future years. So accrual concept is closely related to the periodicity concept, because we are preparing the books of accounts always, whichever the nature of organization is, we are preparing it for a particular period. Generally that is 1 year. So what will be considered as income, what will be considered as expenditure is only that which is related to this period. Income earned during this period only will be income. Expenditure spent or incurred during the period will be only considered as expenditure. But the question is, will that match with receipts and payments? Not necessarily. In general, no. In general, receipts may be there related to last year's incomes, this year's incomes, next year's incomes also. The incomes are not related to this year all the times. Receipts may be consisting of many things. 3 different things can be there. May be related to the last year. Means what? Last year those were all outstanding. Means they were supposed to be received. If you want to call it as accrued incomes, those are accrued incomes. When? Last year. Now they are received. That means in this year we received it. But is it related to this year? No. It is related to last year. So can that be considered as an income? No. But is that a receipt? Yes. It is a receipt. So receipts will consist of last year receipts also, current year receipts also, next year's receipts also. But point is, which will be treated as income? Only one thing will be treated as income. That is current year's receipts, which are related to the current year. Receipts happened during the current year is different. Receipts are related to the current year is different. Receipts which are related to the current year are only to be considered as incomes. Which receipts are related to the last year, they have nothing to do with current year. So what would have been the treatment for them last year? They would have been already on the asset side of the balance sheet last year as receivables, as accrued incomes. Now you received, that's it, there ends the matter. But what about the receipts which are received now? Which are received now, but they are not related to this year, which are related to the next year. Means what? We received something in advance. Now we received something in advance. When we received something in advance, that is a liability. So at the end of the current year's balance sheet, we show these things as liabilities. Which will be treated as only income for the current year is that portion of the receipts which is related to the current year. That is the only linking that we need to do here. So the entire chapter, or whatever the topic we call as not-for-profit organizations, is purely dependent upon the understanding of the periodicity concept and accrual concept. We are always have to be looking at a particular period, time period. Which time period is what we are looking at? Naturally, generally, what that will be 1 year period. Anything, whether it is income or expenditure, is it related to this year or not? That we have to identify. If it is related to this year, very good. Then it will be treated as income of this year or expenditure of this year. But if it is not related to this year, it will not be treated as income of this year. It will not be treated as expenditure of this year. That has to be clear. Once again, why some people feel it tough, whether it is BRS, whether it is final accounts, whether it is the not-for-profit organizations. Some of the times it so happens that people by heart things. People unnecessarily have this type of habit of by hearting, remembering, plus minus, add there, deduct here. This is the problem. Because of that only there will be confusion. If you are clear with the conceptual clarity, there is no confusion here. It is a very simple chapter. Very scoring chapter. You should definitely never leave that. Full marks should be scored from this chapter also, this topic also, because end of the day it is all debit credit. There is nothing else. That has to be always kept in mind. Other than that, remaining things are only just presentation issues. So like that, if receipts are there related to last year, now they are received, then they are received, that's all, but they are not incomes of this year. Receipts which are related to this year, definitely which are also incomes of this year. Receipts which are received this year but not related to this year, they are related to next year, let us say, then they will not be incomes of this year also, but they will be a liability because we received them in advance, incomes received in advance. That is what are the possibilities of those which are received. Of course, there is one more possibility, which are not at all received, means incomes which are earned but not received. That is one more possibility. That means what? Are they part of the receipts here? No, they are not, because they are not received yet. So that means they are accrued incomes at the end of current year. So they will be treated as asset. They are still accrued to us. Maybe next year they will be received. So what is that? At which point of time what is that? If we observe, everything will be simple. Is it related to this year? Yes, it is income. If it is related to last year it would have been the asset. If it is received but not related to this year, then that means it is a liability because it is received in advance. Then same way, not received at all completely during this year, then that will be also an asset at the end of the year. So that is about incomes and different possibilities of that. Basically, receipts and incomes should be compared and matched. So it's a kind of, we are doing an exercise of showing clearly, boss, which are all incomes, which are all not incomes, which are receipts, which are not receipts. That clarity is only required. So what is the difference between these two? Just simply accrual concept. Incomes are those which are according to the accrual concept. Receipts are those which are according to the cash concept. Both have to be adjusted, both have to be balanced, both have to be one way we can say reconciled in our effort of preparing various accounts in this chapter. Same logic applies to expenses also. So many things can be there. Expenses which are paid during the period, but if they are related to the last year, that means last year they would have been outstanding expenses but paid now. That means last year they would have been liabilities. Let us say if they are related to the current year, paid also and related also current year, then that means they are also expenses of current year. They can be debited to income and expenditure account. But if the expenses are paid now but related to next year, paid now but related to next year, that means we paid them in advance. When we paid them in advance, that means it will be an asset for us at the end of the balance sheet, end of the period in the balance sheet. Some expenses can be there which are not paid. That means they are outstanding expenses now at the end of the year. Outstanding expenses are obviously liability. Like that, so many items can be there. The timing is what you have to very clearly understand. What else can be there in the last year, and what can happen to them in the current year, and what can be there related to the next year. If you understand this timing flow, this topic is very, very easy. Last year, what all are possible? Last year, maybe there is some income received in advance. Last year, there may be accrued income, means which was not received. Two possibilities only are there. Same way, last year there can be outstanding expenses, or last year there could have been expenses which are prepaid expenses. These are the only two possibilities related to expenses. That's all. Income would have been either received in advance or there could have been accrued income. There could have been outstanding expenses at the end of last year and there could have been prepaid expenses. So the point is, what happens to the income received in advance? That was received in advance last year, but that was not related to last year. So what would have been the treatment for that already in the last year? Last year means last year's closing balance sheet. In other words, for our understanding, we can call it opening balance sheet for us. So where that will be there in the opening balance sheet, which is nothing but closing balance sheet of last year. Because the incomes are received in advance, that would be a liability in the last year's balance sheet. Accrued incomes would have been asset in the last year's balance sheet. Now the point is, current year, let us say there are some things which are received out of the last year. So let us say incomes received in advance last year will become incomes of the current year. Why? Because they are related to the current year. Are they received in the current year? No. But they will become incomes of current year automatically. Whereas accrued incomes last year received now in the current year. If they are received in the current year, just because they are received, will they become incomes of current year? No, they will not be. So they will be not treated as incomes of the current year. They are also the incomes of last year only. But if they are received in this current year, then they should not be considered as incomes of current year. Just their receipts, that's all, not incomes of current year. Same way, last year outstanding expenses are there, means those are related to last year. That was definitely a liability then, and prepaid expenses last year would have been an asset. Last year outstanding expenses paid now. If they are paid now, just because they are paid, they will become expenses of current year. No, they will not be expenses of current year, but they will be payments. They will only be payments. On the other side, last year prepaid expenses are there, but paid in the last year. Are we going to pay them now? No, we are not going to pay them now because they are already paid in last year. But are they related to the current year? Yes. So what they will be treated as? They will be treated as expenses of current year. So whatever last year happened, that will be having an impact on the current year's treatment. First point. Current year's things will anyway will have impact. Again, as we discussed already, which things will be treated as incomes? Which are related to the current year only will be treated as incomes. Which are related to the current year expenses, those only will be treated as expenses. Those are current year things. Next year things what? Same things can happen. We can receive income in advance related to next year. We can have incomes related to this year but not yet received. Same way, income received in advance is going to be treated as a liability but not at the beginning, but at the end of the balance sheet, end of the financial period. Accrued income will be treated as an asset at the end of the financial period. Same with expenses also. Maybe we have some outstanding expenses, which means we are not paying them now, but we will pay next year. But this year we did not pay. So are they payments in this year? No. But are they expenses? Yes, definitely they are expenses of this year. Also they will be what? They will be a liability at the end of the current period. Prepaid expenses are there. Similar to that. Prepaid means they are paid. But are they related to this year? No. So are they considered as part of payments? Yes. But can they be considered as expenses? No. Why? Because they are not related to this year. They are related to next year. So, but prepaid because they will be treated as asset at the end of the financial period, that is the balance sheet. So, like this, for every item, if we understand the essence of that very clearly, because end of the day, there will be only incomes, expenses, receipts, payments, assets, liabilities, nothing else. All the items, whatever we discuss, whatever we encounter in this chapter, will end up with these things only. Receipts, payments, incomes, expenses, assets, liabilities. But time period is important. What are we talking about? Are they during the year, last year, next year? That has to be kept in mind. That has to be definitely looked very keenly, observed very keenly from the questions that we encounter. Now let us solve some of the questions related to this topic of not-for-profit organizations and understand how should be the thought process while solving these questions. So let us start with question number 1. From the following data, prepare an income and expenditure account for the year ended 31st December 2019 and a balance sheet as at the date of Jeevan Hospital, whatever it is. What is given and what is required. We have to be very carefully observing that. What is given is receipts and payments account, which is already an account, which means one aspect of debit and credit is already done. Only thing is we need to do the other aspect of it, because already an account is given means either debit for all those things which are all debited here, or credit for all those things which are all credited here as payments is already done. So receipts and payments account is given. What is asked is income and expenditure account for the year ended 31st December 2019 and a balance sheet as on that date. So various items in the receipts and payments account are there, and additional information is also there. So with this additional information, we have to prepare income and expenditure account and balance sheet. But the point is, when we need a balance sheet at the end of the year, we should first of all know what is the balance sheet at the beginning of the year. So whether we call it capital or whether we call it a capital fund, we cannot call it a capital here because these are not-for-profit organizations. So various names can be used for that. So that capital fund at the beginning of the year, how much it would have been, should be known. If it is not given, definitely we need that also. In other words, though it is not asked, we need an opening balance sheet also. So opening balance sheet, then income and expenditure account, then closing balance sheet. These are the three things that we should be preparing And in that, two are main answer. One is working note. So the opening balance sheet can be treated as a working note. So receipts and payments account we don't have to prepare. Already it is given. Income and expenditure account and balance sheet has to be prepared. So balance sheets also, two balance sheets are required. So let us call this opening balance sheet, one of that, and one of that is closing balance sheet. In exam, you should not write opening, closing. You have to write the dates. So what will be the balance sheet here? Opening means 31st December 2018. In other words, 1st January 2019. Both are same. So 2018 and 2019. So opening balance sheet is 2018. Closing balance sheet is 2019. You have to write clearly the dates. Balance sheet as on 31st December 2019. For this, balance sheet as on 31st December 2018 for this. Then we also require income and expenditure account. So these are the three things that we are required to prepare. So each item, whichever is there in an account already, is already treated once. Only what we need to do is we have to treat it one more time. So the items within the account, which is given to us already, should not be treated twice, because one treatment is already over. Only the second treatment we have to think about. But those items which are there at the end of the question as additional information, they will require two treatments, different treatments, like adjustments in final accounts. So here also the same logic applies. If in final accounts we may get a trial balance, but here we may not get a trial balance, we may get a receipts and payments account or an income and expenditure account, whatever it is. So an account can be given to us. That means also already one portion or one treatment is already done. Only the other treatment is supposed to be done. So let us go through the items one by one and then see where we have to treat them. Only three possibilities we have: either income and expenditure account, or opening balance sheet, or closing balance sheet. These are the only three possibilities. And always we have to keep in mind debit aspect and credit aspect. So naturally all the receipts are already debited. Debit aspect is over. That means for all of these things, what we are supposed to do, we have to treat with them a credit aspect. Same way, all the payments, credit aspect is already over. It is already done within the receipts and payments account. So what we are supposed to do, the debit aspect of that, the other side of that. So one side is already over, the other side only we have to look at. Which means, if it is debited already, we need to give a credit treatment. If it is already credited, we need to give a debit treatment. That has to be always kept in mind. And we have only three places, so there should not be any particular special interest there or special attention there. So obviously, end of the day, we have to go with any of these three choices only. In this question particularly, not like every question will be the same. So let us look at them one by one and choose only one of them, and also understand the debit aspect, credit aspect, how it works. Starting balance, opening balance of cash and bank are there. So naturally these are the assets in the opening balance sheet. So 800 and 5200 will be there in the opening balance sheet as assets. So let us just post them or show them there. Cash, bank. So amounts are 800 and 5200. So opening balance at the beginning of the account means they are definitely assets at the beginning of the year. So they will go to the opening balance sheet. Now let us see whether did we debit or credit. See, already these two are debit, already done. Debit aspect is already over because they are debited to the receipts and payments account. We are supposed to do a credit aspect, but we did it on the assets side of the balance sheet. Normally asset side of balance sheet is debit aspect. Then we may get a doubt, how come we are doing it debit twice? Here also debit, here also debit. No, that is not what has happened actually. We need to keep this also in mind. When we do anything which is on the assets side of the opening balance sheet, what is the effect of that? Effect of that is it will increase the capital fund. Whatever the name we call that, it will definitely increase the capital fund. That means what? Capital fund, which is a credit balance. So we are increasing a credit balance by keeping this on the asset side. So don't think putting an item on the assets side of the opening balance sheet is a debit aspect. Actually, it is a credit aspect. And vice versa for something that we put on the liability side of the opening balance sheet. For simple understanding, you may consider like this. Assets are debit balances for a closing balance sheet. Automatically, they will be reverse for opening balance sheet. Means what? If you put something on the asset side of an opening balance sheet, you are not treating the debit aspect, you are treating the credit aspect, opposite aspect. So that's what happened here. So debit aspect is already done here in the receipts and payments account. Credit aspect we did by posting them on the asset side of opening balance sheet. Asset side of closing balance sheet is a debit aspect. Asset side of opening balance sheet is opposite, that is credit aspect. Why is that? Because these have an impact of increasing the capital fund, which is a credit balance. The reason is that. But effect is what? Definitely the opposite of closing balance sheet. If something is a debit in closing balance sheet, like an asset, no, that will be a credit in opening balance sheet. That's what happened here. And vice versa for liabilities also. Normally for closing balance sheet, liabilities are credit balances. But in case of opening balance sheet, liabilities side, if you are writing something, you are actually creating a debit effect, not a credit effect. Why? Because that will reduce the capital fund. So that is a very important aspect to be identified, a conceptual point to be noted. In the case of opening balance sheet, the behavior will be opposite to that of closing balance sheet. That's it. Now, there are receipts in the form of subscriptions for different years. Means these are related to the last year, these are related to the current year, these are related to the next year. All of them we have to treat only once at some places. First of all, if they are received in the current year, but they are related to the last year they would have been outstanding. Means they would have been accrued. That means they would have been already assets in the last year. So we call that outstanding subscriptions, whatever the name we give. That is opening balance sheet 5,100, because they were supposed to be received last year, but they were not received last year. They are received in current year. So when they were supposed to be received in the last year, they would have been outstanding subscriptions or accrued incomes for the last year. Accrued incomes for any balance sheet date will be asset. So 5,100, asset side of the balance sheet is a treatment for this because it is related to last year. What about this? Of course, once again, is this debit aspect or credit aspect? What we did here, it is a credit aspect because it is opening balance sheet. Then comes for the current year 24,500 debited already to the receipts and payments account. We need to credit it somewhere. Of course, it is related to the current year. When it is related to the current year, definitely that will be treated as income of the current year by subscriptions. That is 24,500. Maybe some adjustments will be there, so keep it in another column. These are related to the current year. So once again, debit already done here, credit we did it in income and expenditure account. Then for next year related subscriptions, we already received in the current year itself. These are 2,400 related to 2020, but we received in 2019 only. That means these are subscriptions received in advance. When they are received in advance, they are liabilities. At the end of the current year, they will be liabilities. So subscriptions received in advance, keep it as a liability at the end of the year 2,400. And for a closing balance sheet, liability means credit. So that's what happened. So all the three which are having a debit aspect already done, we did a credit aspect. How? For this, we kept it on the asset side of opening balance sheet. For this, we kept it on the liability side of closing balance sheet. Both are credit aspects. For this, we credited the income and expenditure account because it is related to the current year. That's it. That is the treatment for these things. Then comes another thing, like a government grant is given for building 80,000. Government grant is given. So grants can be classified into capital grants and revenue grants. If it is a revenue grant, we can simply credit to the income and expenditure account like any other income. But if it is a capital grant, it is not correct. It is not appropriate to credit the income and expenditure account because it is not related to any revenue. It is related to some asset. So what is the ideal treatment for that is it has to be reduced from the building. So normally asset side closing balance sheet, let us say there will be something called building. How much is that? We don't know. Leave it. But government grant related to the building has to be reduced from that, minus 80,000. And understand this also, asset normally debit balance. Reducing from an asset is credit aspect. So that's what we are supposed to do. We have to do credit that. Already because it is debited in receipts and payments account, we are supposed to do the credit aspect, which we did here. How? By reducing it from the value of the building. Because we did not actually incur that, government gave some grant to that. So what is the treatment of any capital grant is simply reduce from the asset value for which the grant is given. That is 80,000 rupees treatment. Then if the government gave for maintenance, it is a revenue grant. So simply it can be credited to the income and expenditure account. No problem with that. So government grant related to for maintenance, let us say government grant for maintenance. Let us see the adjustments if there are anything like that related to it. No. So that's okay. So we can put it in the outer column. That is 20,000 rupees income. Simple. Government gave something to us just like that freely. That's our income. That is credit side of income and expenditure account. Done. Fees from sundry patients also. Government has given something. Maybe government reimbursed something, etc. We don't care. End of the day, it is our income. So government grant for patients. Let us call it. Government grant for patients, that is 4,800 credited to income and expenditure, but that is the credit treatment of these items already which are debited. We are doing now other side of it, which is crediting. Now donations are received which are not supposed to be capitalized, very clearly given. See, when it is given that they are not related to any capital donations, definitely they are all incomes. So you can just call it as donations. In the income and expenditure account, that is 8,000. Not capitalized means it shows it is a revenue item, which means it is a revenue receipt, which is treated as income. If it is to be capitalized, we can consider that as a liability. We can add it to the capital fund, or we can show it as separately if it is given as a particular specific donation. So if it is a general donation, we can just add it to the capital fund. If it is a specific donation, we can show it on the liability side of the balance sheet as a separate item. But here it is clearly mentioned it is not to be capitalized, which means it is treated as a revenue item. So it is credited to income and expenditure account. Net collections from benefit shows, definitely an income. Simple. That is 6,000. So net collection from benefit shows, that is 6,000 rupees income. So it is credited in income and expenditure account. So these are the credit aspects for all the debits which are given to us in the receipts and payments account. Now coming to the payments side of this, which is a credit aspect already treated. So what we are supposed to do is debit. So credit is already over. We are supposed to do a debit treatment. How? Where? We'll see that. Total payment of salaries is 31,200. In that, it is included 7,200 is for 2018. So we have to first of all split this. Out of 31,200, 7,200 is related to 2018, means 24,000 is related to current year. 7,200 is related to the last year. So last year's salaries, why we are paying? Naturally, they would have been outstanding in the last year. So opening balance sheet, these would have been outstanding salaries as a liability. How much? 7,200. That is why we paid them now. So once again, is this a debit treatment? Yes. For opening balance sheet, writing on the liability side is a debit treatment. Then coming to the other 24,000, naturally we have to understand it is related to the current year. So when it is related to the current year, it is an expenditure. So it should be debited to the income and expenditure account to salaries. That is 24,000. That's all. Then comes hospital equipment, 17,000. Furniture purchased, additions to building. These things are all capital items. So definitely they will not have any impact in the income and expenditure account. They will have impact in the balance sheet. So hospital equipment, originally how much and all, that we don't know. Well, but that is given at the end of the year. How much is that? It is given. But how much is purchased? That is given here in the payments account. So let us consider like this. It's an important aspect to note and treat. There will be some hospital equipment definitely in the opening balance sheet also, for sure. How much? We don't know. Hospital equipment, opening balance sheet, how much? We don't know. Hospital equipment in the closing balance sheet will start with that only, whatever is there in the opening balance sheet. But now what has happened is, there is an addition to that. Because there is a payment here, 17,000. Hospital equipment, there is an addition to that. So whatever is the original balance which we don't know, so let us just add to that. So again, here it was credit. So adding to a closing balance sheet asset side means we are debiting it. So debit aspect is treated like that. Adding to the original hospital equipment, how much? We don't know now. We'll come to that now. We'll come to know that later. That's okay. But we should just know the treatment. Whatever the original hospital equipment is, this 17,000 should be added to that because this is newly purchased hospital equipment. Same way furniture. Furniture also, originally something should be there or not there. It looks like no. Building is there, hospital equipment is there, building fund is there, and subscriptions are there. Government securities investments is given, but there is nothing called furniture originally. So definitely it will just go to the closing balance sheet. That means it is a new furniture that is purchased. So furniture, that is 6,000. Originally it was not there. So entirely it is newly purchased. So in the closing balance sheet, it will be shown as an asset. So that is the debit side of it, debit treatment of it. Then additions to the building happened 50,000. So here we have building 50,000, additions to the building which has happened. So in the closing balance sheet, certainly it should be added to the buildings. That is 50,000. So how much is the original building? That we don't know. But additions to building is 50,000. Definitely that should be added to the buildings. So additions. So 50,000 added to the building. So this is it a debit aspect? Yes, you should be always careful about that. Then comes printing and stationery, diet expenses, etc. Printing and stationery is an expenditure. Diet expenses is also expenditure. Simply what you have to do, you have to debit the income and expenditure account. Printing and stationery 2,400. Diet expenses 15,600. So both are expenses. So definitely they have to be debited to income and expenditure account. Then comes rent and rates, which is 2,000. But once again, we have to split it. It's not related to 2019 completely. 300 is related to the next year. Means there is a prepaid rent of 300 and there is a rent which is related to the current year of only 1,700. So we have to treat it separately. 1,700 is related to this year. So rent and rates related to this year is only 1,700. That should be debited to the income and expenditure account. What about the remaining 300? That is an asset because it is a prepaid rent at the end of the year. Since it is prepaid, it will be an asset. So 300 to be shown on the asset side of the closing balance sheet. Both of them are debit treatments only. So that is the treatment for 2,000. Separately for 300 in the closing balance sheet asset side and separately for 1,700 on the debit side of income and expenditure account. So both debit treatments we did, but credit treatment is already done by crediting to the receipts and payments account, which is given to us. Then electricity and water charges, just simply debit to the income and expenditure account. Electricity and water. How much? 2,400. Debit of income and expenditure account. Then office expenses, also whatever they are also expenses. So they have to be debited to the income and expenditure account, 2,000. Now investments. Investments is not a revenue expenditure. It is a capital expenditure. So these are purchased. So 20,000 should go to the assets side of closing balance sheet. So in the assets side of closing balance sheet, there will be investments also, which is 20,000. So what is given here is investments are purchased on 1st July. So interest may be accrued on that, which is not treated already. But investment original value is only 20,000. That is not going to change. So investments are 20,000, which are purchased freshly during the year. So they will go to the closing balance sheet asset side. That is also a debit treatment. Then cash and bank balances at the end of the year will be also assets at the end of the year. So cash, bank, assets in the closing balance sheet 1400, 6800. So with this, all the items within the receipts and payments account we have treated. Once, if it was already a debit treatment done, we did a credit treatment. If it was already a credit treatment done, we did a debit treatment. Every time we have to be very careful of that. If we have a watch on that, they definitely never will do any mistake. Finally, the answer should be correct. Now comes the other thing. Value of the building under construction on 31st December 2019 is 1,40,000. So that is the end of the year value is telling. Value of the building under construction as on 31st December 2019 is 1,40,000. So the final amount here is 1,40,000. So how much would have been the original value of the building? So that is what we have to calculate. One way we can say we have to do the reverse calculation. That is at the end of the period 1,40,000, 31st December 2019. Now, same way, value of the hospital equipment at the end of the period is also given. And that is how much? Hospital equipment 51,000. That is the end of the year value for hospital equipment. So how much would have been the hospital equipment at the beginning of the period? Because we added 17,000. After adding 17,000, 51,000 is at the end of the year. So how much would have been the hospital equipment at the beginning of the year? So that is 51 minus 17, which comes to 34,000. So this 34,000 is the value of the building, hospital equipment at the beginning of the period, which is 34,000. So the treatment here is not for 51,000. The treatment here is for 34,000. So what we did effectively here is we added 34,000 to the 17,000. And that is one treatment for 34,000. Another treatment for 34,000 is we showed it as asset on the opening balance sheet. So the treatment here is not for 51,000. Treatment is for 34,000 effectively. Though the amount given is 51,000, the dual treatment, we know that everything which is outside a balanced statement or a balanced account should be treated twice. So are we treating 51,000 twice? No. 51,000 is given in the question. But what is the treatment for 34,000? What we did effectively, we added to this 17,000, this 34. That means a debit aspect. We added here in the opening balance sheet asset side, opening balance sheet asset is a credit aspect. So that's what happened here. Same logic can be applied here also. But of course, we have to understand that, we have to assume that the government grant is already deducted for calculating this 1,40,000. So 1,40,000 minus 50,000 plus 80,000. So originally, the building under construction could have been 1,70,000. Then only final amount will be 1,40,000. So 170 minus 80 plus 50. Then it is 140. So, but major point here is we are assuming that the government grant is already deducted from the original. If we assume otherwise, if you assume that the government grant is treated separately or it is actually adjusted from the building fund, maybe that also is another possible treatment. So building fund is there originally and that can be completely nullified with the government grant that is received, which is 80,000. So at the end of the period, building fund will not be there at all. Like that also it can be done. Multiple treatments are possible. That is not the point. Are we doing a correct debit credit? That is important. So here 140, if it is the building value at the end of the period, and this is after adding 50,000, after deducting 80,000, then how much would have been the original value? So the adjustment here also is not for 140. Adjustment here, what we are doing is for 170. So how much is the building value originally in the opening balance sheet? Naturally, that will be 1,70,000. So 170 here on the asset side, we added opening balance sheet and we showed it on we added to the closing balance sheet asset side also. Then only closing will be 140 as given in the question. So here the adjustment is not for 140, adjustment is only for 170. But again I am repeating, this is with an assumption that this 140, what is given in the question, is after considering the government grant also. That is what we have to assume. We can assume otherwise also, that's a different story. But this is what we assumed. So we did treatment for building not 140. We did treatment for 170. Same with hospital equipment. We did not treat 51. What did we treat twice? 34. These two are done. Then there is a building fund on the opening balance sheet. Building fund, any fund, whatever it is, that will be definitely a liability. Any fund will be a liability. So opening balance sheet liability side, 80,000. Since we have no other change that we assumed here, we can show the same thing in the closing balance sheet also. Because the building is not yet completed, that fund might still continue. That fund might not be closed yet. That might still continue. So we can continue this same building fund in the closing balance sheet also. That is one way of treatment. Otherwise, I told you already, these two things, 80,000 and 80,000, can be nullified. So what happens then? There will not be any building fund at the end of the period. Like that also it can be treated. But since we have taken this grant as a reduction from the building amount, here we continue the building fund which is there in the opening balance sheet also and closing balance sheet also. Again, twice we have to treat, we did that. Opening balance sheet, closing balance sheet, both on the liability side. Both are showing debit and credit aspects respectively. Then, subscriptions in arrear on 31st December 2018. Subscriptions in arrear 2018 were 6,500. So the point is here once again, this 6,500 is there as subscriptions in arrears, outstanding subscriptions. But already we have treated this 5,100 earlier. Why? Because we received them. Which means what? Still they are outstanding. Some amount is still outstanding. So how much this adjustment should be done for now? It is not for 6,500. It should be done only for 6,500 minus 5,100 because those are also subscriptions for 2018. So adjustment is for only 1,400. 1,400 is the subscriptions which have to be added to the outstanding subscriptions earlier. So if you take it in the inner column, add there here to the outstanding subscriptions in the opening balance sheet, how much? 1,400. So naturally, how much will be the opening subscriptions outstanding? 6,500. That's what is given here. So here also adjustment is not for 6,500. It is for 1,400. Since we already treated for 5,100, only 1,400 has to be added to the opening balance sheet outstanding subscriptions. So where the other 1,400 will go? Closing balance sheet outstanding subscriptions. So outstanding subscriptions. Closing balance sheet also will have 1,400. So the treatment here is 1,400 shown on the closing balance sheet, asset side, because they are still outstanding. They are not yet received. So 1,400 will continue to be there on the asset side of the closing balance sheet. And opening balance sheet subscriptions, final amount will be 6,500 after adding 1,400 to the subscriptions which have been already received during the period. So that is the treatment for 1,400. That is adjustment dealt with twice. Then investments in 8% government securities were made on 1st July. So 1st July they are made means how many months? July, August, September, October, November, December. Means 6 months interest will be outstanding, which is accrued interest basically, which is supposed to be received by us. 20,000 rupees worth of investments were purchased. In the receipts and payments account, we did not see anything called interest. That means this interest was not received. But how much should have been received for 6 months? 20,000 into 8% into 6 by 12 means only half year's interest will be outstanding. 20,000 into 8% by 2, that is 800 rupees accrued interest is there. Is it our income? Yes, it is. So first of all, show it on the income and expenditure. Income side, that is interest. Amount is 800. Also, it will be our asset because it is supposed to be received, still not received. So you can call that accrued interest on investments. That is 800. So closing balance sheet asset side is debit aspect. Income and expenditure credit side is credit aspect. Both are done. That's it. That concludes all the aspects, all the various items given in the question. So now all that we need to do is close it. Close the items one by one. So since we have an opening balance sheet here, which is not yet complete because of no capital fund being there, obviously the capital fund will be the balancing figure in the opening balance sheet. So 2,16,500 is the total of opening balance sheet. You have to do these things manually. And how much will be the capital fund here? 2,16,500 minus the other two things, which is 1,29,300. So that will be the capital fund in the closing balance sheet also. Put it in inner column. That is 1,29,300. If any surplus comes, that we can add here. If any deficit comes, that we can deduct here later. So, but opening balance sheet is over. That is all clear. 1,29,300 is the opening capital fund. You should not call it capital, just to call it capital fund. Only names change, essence is all same. So 129,300 is the balancing figure for the opening balance sheet. Then go to the income and expenditure account. So salaries are just there is nothing outstanding, etc. So take it to the outer column, and various incomes are there, various expenses are there, subscriptions related to this year are there, so there are no adjustments here also. Take it to the outer column. Take the total of both the sides and see which side is higher. First of all, 64,100 is the total of the credit side, and 48,100 or something is the total of debit side. So certainly credit side is higher. So do the totaling of credit side, which is income side, that is 64,100, and calculate the surplus, which is nothing but the total of credit side minus all the expenses which are there on the debit side of income and expenditure account. So that gives a surplus of 16,000. So what should we do with this surplus? That should be added to the closing balance sheet capital fund surplus. You can call that as excess of income over expenditure also. That is another word. If you have sufficient time, use that word. That is better actually. Excess of income over expenditure. So that is added to the capital fund, just like what we do in normal final accounts, nothing special. So 1,45,300 is the capital fund, other things are there. And now you need to do the total of balance sheet. If you do it, definitely it will tally. 2,27,700 is the total of balance sheet. Everything is already in outer column, so it already tallied. So do this totaling manually and check that it is tallying or not. It should. When you do all debits credits correctly, there is no way that balance sheet will not tally. Obviously it should tally. Of course, it may be a different story. The answer can be different if you treat this building fund in a different way. Multiple treatments are possible there. So according to the situation, according to the information given in the question, you can choose any of them. That's not a problem. Don't worry about that. Mainly, what are the other items? All the items, are we treating correctly or not? That matters. So a lot of times also some students ponder upon one particular item and they will be unnecessarily causing a lot of stress to their brain. How to treat this, how to treat that. If that one particular item is bothering you, you do according to whatever you feel it is good. But keeping debit and credit in mind, not according to what you feel does not mean you will violate the principle. If you keep the debit and credit in mind, ultimately the answer will never be much different. The answer number may be different, but definitely the balance sheet will tally. So that itself shows that most of the things that you did were correct. So except, let us say, very few things, 1 or 2 treatments, if you did wrong, that's okay. You will only lose those marks, but still you will get 7-8 marks. So when you aim for 10 marks, 15 marks questions, small mistakes, those things can happen. So if at all you are not very sure of a treatment, don't waste time on those treatments. Just take an assumption and take a call, take a decision. Don't waste time on that. You have to be quick enough to take decisions like that. So that's what should be the approach. And no need to by heart, treatment of this should be like that only, treatment of another thing should be like this only. No such things need to be really known or followed. Ultimately, if you follow debit credit principles, everybody can get better score, good score in all these topics, wherever the logical things are there, like BRS or final accounts or not-for-profit organizations. So these are all topics of conceptual implications rather than any just memorization type of situations, or just mechanical calculations will not work here. That is a core point to be always kept in mind. Now let's proceed to solve one more question, which was a past examination question. From the following information supplied by MBS Club, prepare receipts and payments account and income and expenditure account for the year ended 31st March 2019. Only receipts and payments account and income and expenditure account were asked. But again, the same question can be asked for 15 marks also with the balance sheets as well. So, if balance sheets are not asked, generally we don't have to prepare them. But the point is, if we don't prepare balance sheet, we will never be in a control, because ultimately if the balance sheet tallies, then it shows at least a proof that all the treatments what you have done are reasonably correct. Not necessarily 100% correct, but arithmetically correct and debit credit wise correct. So in order to have that control, in these type of questions, I would suggest that, though not as part of the main answer, but as a working note, you can prepare balance sheets also, both opening and closing. We don't need to elaborate your presentation in the working notes. Main answer should be very elaborate. In the working notes, you can use some shortcuts, outstanding OBS, subscriptions like that, subscriptions received in advance like that. So some time saving can be done in the presentation part of the working notes, but that working notes helps a lot, because overall control should be with us. Overall control happens only when we treat everything with the debit credit mindset. Otherwise, what happens? It will be confusing. It will be like some treatments we will do, some answer we will get, but we don't know whether that is correct or not. So such kind of dilemma should not be there. So to have things in our control, let us also prepare a opening balance sheet as well as closing balance sheet. That is the first point. Second point, each item here is given is not an account. It is not given as a balance sheet already. If opening balance sheet is already given, then that is already something which is half treated, debit or credit. If it is an account that is given already, like receipts and payments account or income and expenditure account, then it is already half treated. On the other side, if you look at final accounts, if trial balance is already given, so that is already there. One treatment is done. Only the other treatment we are doing. So whatever the treatment we are supposed to do, that only we are doing. So if there is a debit balance and trial balance, we are posting at one place. That's all. Same way here, since there is no account that is given, each item we have to treat it twice. If we do that carefully, that too with debit credit in mind, certainly the final answer will be correct and balance sheets also will tally. So let us deal like that. So one by one, we will have to treat each item twice. Each item. So let us start with outstanding subscriptions. What was asked is income and expenditure account and receipts and payments account. We'll come to that. But whatever the items are there, we post them at the respective places. Not necessarily always in main answer, sometimes in the working notes. So outstanding subscription, opening balance is there 1,40,000. Outstanding subscription means it is an asset in the opening balance. So definitely on the asset side of the opening balance sheet, outstanding subscriptions, you can write it as 1,40,000. That is one treatment. Only one treatment. And we have to deal with it separately also in the income and expenditure account when you have subscriptions received actually, which we don't know. We will come to that later. But there has to be some adjustments to be done so that we know the subscriptions actual income from the accrual concept. Received subscriptions we don't know. We will treat it later when it comes. But when we look at the outstanding subscriptions last year, which were 1,40,000, they would have been received this year. That means they would have been already part of the subscriptions received in this year. So when they are already part of that, what we are supposed to do? We have to reduce from the subscriptions received in this year. Why? Because they are not related to this year. Though they are received this year, they are related to last year. They were outstanding in the last year. So that's what we have to do. Reduce it from subscriptions received, whatever the amount may be. So in the exam, you have to write the dates. Outstanding on whatever the date, 1/4/2018. So like that, these are outstanding on 1/4 2018. Like this, details you have to write in the examination. So here we are just showing the amounts. Now look at debit credit. Here you did asset side of the balance sheet. Opening balance sheet assets side is a credit aspect. Here, reducing from a credit, that is debit aspect. So that's what happened. So debit aspect is by reducing it from a credit. Income normally is credit, so reducing from that is a debit aspect. Opening balance sheet asset side is also a credit aspect. So both have been done, debit and credit. That is 1,40,000. For each item, two treatments we will do. Then what about 2 lakhs? That is at the end of the year, outstanding subscriptions. So closing balance sheet, outstanding subscriptions will be 2 lakhs. So this is a debit aspect. This is a debit aspect. Now credit aspect will be what? These are the subscriptions which are related to this year, but they are not received yet. So they would have been not included in the subscription received already. So what we have to do now? We have to add to that subscriptions received. Though they are not received, they are related to this year. So in other words, these are the incomes of the current year. So they should be part of the subscriptions income. But they are not already part of the subscriptions received. Why? Because they are not received already. So 2 lakhs. Closing balance sheet asset side means debit aspect. Adding to the credit side means credit aspect. Done. Same way. Advance subscriptions. 25,000. First look at balance sheet item, that is easier. Advance subscriptions or subscriptions received in advance is always a liability, but it is opening balance sheet liability, that is 25,000. Opening balance sheet liability is a debit aspect. Now what we have to do? Credit aspect. Credit side credit aspect means add. So subscriptions received in advance, opening 25,000. So this is the credit aspect. Conceptually, these are the subscriptions received in advance last year, but they are not related to last year. They are related to this year. But they are not part of the subscriptions received here. Why? Because they are not received in this year. They are received last year. But they are related to this year. So they should be part of the subscriptions income. So they are added to the subscriptions which are received in this year. Because they are related to this year, though not received in this year, they are also part of the subscriptions of current year. So they are added here. That is 25,000 credit aspect. And opening balance sheet liability side is a debit aspect. Done. Other thing, 30,000. One aspect if you observe, the other aspect will be easy. 30,000 advance subscription, end of the year closing balance sheet. See, subscriptions received in advance, end of the year is also a liability. Liability 30,000, that is subscriptions received in advance at the end of the year. So closing balance sheet liabilities means credit aspect is already done. So what we are supposed to do? A debit aspect now. So debit means you have to reduce from credit, that is 30,000. So subscriptions received in advance, closing, that's it. Now conceptually speaking, if they are received in advance, are they part of the subscriptions received here? Yes, they are already part of that. But they are related to this year? No, they are related to next year. So we have to reduce it from the received subscriptions because we want only those subscriptions which are related to this year. So reduce from the subscriptions received. So 30,000 is the treatment done here. These are all related to the subscriptions. Same way, outstanding salaries. This is on the just expenses side. Outstanding salaries, opening balance sheet. Opening balance sheet, outstanding salaries is a liability. Liability how much? 15,000. Opening balance sheet liability means a debit aspect. What we need to do is a credit aspect now. But salaries is normally a debit item, which means salaries which are paid. So these are paid in this year, but they are not related to this year. So that's why outstanding salaries opening will have to be reduced from this, which is minus 15,000. So reducing from a debit means credit. Putting on the liability side of the opening balance sheet means debit. Both debit and credit aspects are done. And conceptually speaking, since these are outstanding salaries last year, they would have been paid in this year, but they are not related to this year. So will they be included here in this? The salaries which are paid actually? Yes. But they are not related to this year, so we are excluding it from that. That is reducing from the salaries which are paid. That is outstanding salaries, opening balance treatment. Closing balance, 18,000. Closing balance outstanding salaries, first read the liability side of the closing balance sheet. that is 18,000, which is a liability definitely. This is a credit aspect. Now debit aspect will be to add to the salaries which are paid. So these are not included in the salaries paid because they are not paid. They are not paid. That is why they are still called outstanding at the end of the year also. So how much is that? 18,000. So add it to the salaries paid. That is 18,000. But they are related to this year. That is why they will be included in the actual expenditure which comes out to the outer column. Income and expenditure outer columns are expenses or incomes. Receipts and payments accounts are related to actual receipts or actual payments, which we don't have any information so far. We'll come to that later. Then comes cash in hand and cash at bank. Only one is given, other one is not known. That means which we have to find out. We will find that out. And opening balance of cash in hand, cash at bank is 1,10,000. So cash, let us call it cash and bank balances. Opening balance, that is 1,10,000. So where can be the other treatment? Because we are preparing a receipts and payments account, that will be the opening balance. To balance brought down. So it is to balance brought down. How much? Receipts and payments account starting point will be this 1,10,000. Once again, this is debit aspect and opening balance sheet asset side means credit aspect. So we did both. Then comes investments, which is a 10% investment. Opening balance sheet is having 1,40,000. Investments 1,40,000. So here in these cases, I would suggest, though it takes a little bit of time, I would suggest you to open these small accounts so that you will not have any confusion. You can have a clarity of debit and credit carefully. So investment account, if you open, I'm just opening these things here, small accounts, we will understand what is the outcome of that easily if we open that. So 1,40,000 to balance brought down 1,40,000. So we treat it twice. Here it is a debit treatment. Treating it as an asset in the opening balance sheet is a credit treatment. So that we'll have a control on double entry. You better open an account and treat it there. Same way, closing investments are 70,000. So here in the account, they will be by balance carried down 70,000. But they will again be in the closing balance sheet investments. $70,000. So closing balance sheet assets means debit aspect. Here we did the credit aspect by crediting the investment account as by balance carried down. So that's how double entry can be completed for that. Same logic applies to the other types of accounts also, which are all related to assets, fixed assets. So this is investment is also an asset. Furniture, machinery, sports goods are also assets. So to save time, I'll do here both of the aspects in one shot. So 28,000, 14,000 furniture. So for that, what we can do? We can just open a furniture account. That will be easier to understand. Otherwise, furniture purchased, sold, something will be given, and we will not understand how to treat that. So when you have an account, it will be very easy. So 28,000, 14,000. 28,000 is opening balance. 14,000 is closing balance for furniture account. Same way, machinery 10,000, 20,000. Opening balance, closing balance. So open a machinery account. 10,000 opening balance, 20,000 closing balance. Sports goods, whatever they are, opening balance 15,000. And closing balance 25,000. Because they are all assets, opening balances will be debit side, closing balances will be credit side. Now to save time, directly let us take all these items to the opening balance sheet and closing balance sheet. So I think investments already we did. So 140 is already there. In addition to that, furniture, machinery, and sports goods. These are all there. Here, opening balance says 28,000, 10,000, and 15,000. Same way, All these three items will go to closing balance sheet also. You can just keep them in the closing balance sheet. Furniture 14,000, machinery 20,000, and sports goods 25,000. These are the closing balances already given. So ideally we have to understand maybe they are all after the depreciation. It can be assumed like that. So 14, 20 and 25 are the closing balances of furniture, machinery and sports goods. Anyway, here balances are all posted twice, once in the account and once in the respective balance sheets. Now look at the further information. This gives us more clarity. Subscriptions for the year amount to 3 lakhs means subscriptions actually received, that means. Ideally the word should have been subscriptions received. So when there are subscriptions received, definitely they should be debited to the receipts and payments account, which is 3 lakhs. They are received, and already we have a gap left for that, 3 lakhs subscriptions received on the credit side of income and expenditure account. So 3 lakhs debited to receipts and payments account, credited to income and expenditure account. Both aspects have been dealt with. Then salaries paid is 60,000. So here also paid. So paid means payment, that is salaries paid, which is 60,000. Then the same thing will have to be debited to the income and expenditure account. We have a place for that. That is 60,000 here in the income and expenditure account. Salaries paid. That is also dealt twice. Face value of the investment was 1,75,000. 50% of the investment was sold at 80% of face value, and interest on investment was received 14,000. So different adjustments are there related to the investments. First of all, how much is the investments originally? 1,40,000 was the investment, and 50% of that was sold at 80% of face value. So the point is, as far as the cost of the investments is concerned, only half of that is sold. 140 became 70. That we observed from the opening and closing balances. But is there any profit or loss that is arising from these investments? That also we have to check. So here, what is the value of the investments which was sold is 50% of that. And at what price it was sold? 80% of the face value. But face value of the investment is 1,75,000. So 1,75,000 face value investments, in that half are sold, 50% are sold at 80% of the face value, which means what would have been the sale proceeds of investments? That is the main point. It is not given directly, it is given indirectly. How much would have been the sale proceeds of investments? Only 70,000 would have been the sale proceeds of investments. So when there is a sale proceeds of investments, definitely receipts and payments account will be debited because you received that. So sale proceeds of investments will be 70,000 rupees. That is given indirectly. Again, where it goes? Because investments are gone, definitely it should be credited to the investments account. So entry wise, if you look at cash account data to investments account, in the investments account by cash, that is 70,000. Incidentally, it is matching. That means there is no profit or loss on investment. So exactly it is matching. Investment account is now closed. 140 debit, 140 credit. So investment account is not at all having any balancing figure so far. So that is over. So it automatically means what? There is no profit or loss on the sale of investment. If there was any profit or loss, then we would have credited or debited the income and expenditure account. In this case, there is no profit or loss because it is exactly matching. But sale proceeds of investments is not given directly, it is given indirectly. So we did both debit and credit aspects. One is debit on the receipts and payments account, one is credit in the investment account. That is the treatment for that 70,000. Both aspects dealt with. Then comes interest on the investments. See, first of all, interest on the investments received how much? Let us treat that. That is 14,000. So definitely interest on investments, 14,000 is received. That is a fact. Receipts and payments account is a fact. But is that really the income also? No. But it will be the starting point. Interest on investments, 14,000 is credited to the income and expenditure account also on the credit side because it is income, it is credited. 14,000 debited here, 14,000 credited here. But the question is it really the interest that is supposed to be received, or is there an outstanding interest? For that again we have to do some calculations. So when was this investment sold? That is not given. So we can assume that it is sold in the beginning of the year, or we can assume that it is sold at the end of the year. So let us assume it is sold at the end of the year. First of all, what is the face value of the investments? 1,75,000. Interest is always calculated on face value. So 10% investment means 10% on 1,75,000. Ideally, the interest that is supposed to be received, 10% on 1,75,000 will be 17,500. That means we did not receive full interest. We received only 14,000 interest. That means 3,500 rupees interest is still outstanding, which is accrued interest, which is an asset for us. So what will be the treatment for that? Closing balance sheet asset side, we can call that accrued interest. That is 3,500. And this is the debit aspect. Credit aspect, we have to add it to the interest that is actually received, because this 3,500 also is supposed to be received. So this is the accrued interest. So actually the interest earned is how much? Interest earned is 17,500, which is nothing but 10% of the face value of the investments. So the value at which investments are carried in the books of accounts is different, face value is different. Interest should be always calculated on face value but not on the cost. So face value 1,75,000, 10% means we were supposed to receive 17,500, but we received only 14,000, which means 3,500 is still outstanding. That is still receivable, and we treated that twice. 14,000 also we treated twice, 3,500 also we treated twice. That is first thing. Another point says that furniture was sold for 8,000 rupees at the beginning of the year. Furniture was sold for 8,000 rupees. See, once it is sold, definitely you would have received some money. So sale proceeds of furniture. How much will be that? 8,000. That is definitely a receipt for sure. Now where will be the other treatment for it? Because we have a furniture account, so you can show this here, 8,000 as furniture sold. That is the sale proceeds of furniture. But that is very clearly given. Furniture was sold for 8,000 at the beginning of the year. So that 8,000 happened to be sold at the beginning of the year. That is the point to be noted. Next, whatever it is, we have a debit here and we have a credit here in the furniture account. Then also told that machinery and sports goods purchased and put to use at the last date of the year. So whatever the machinery that is purchased, that is put to use in the last day of the year. So here point is, main assumption that we have to take is this balance given at the end of the year after depreciation or before depreciation? That assumption has to be taken. If you take it as after depreciation, then the answer will be completely different. If you take it as before depreciation, then the answer will be completely different. For that, we have to look at the language of the question. Question said, charge depreciation. Means they have not charged already. We have to charge. So definitely, the balances given here, what we took as closing balances, are not after depreciation, that we can observe from this wording. So we have to charge it later. So we cannot take these assets directly. Furniture and machinery and sports goods, these are we took as after depreciation, but we cannot take that. Why? Because the word used there is we have to charge depreciation. So ideally we should have left some space for depreciation also. So furniture, machinery and sports goods, we will keep it in the inner column, so that we will provide depreciation later, which will be only just an adjustment. That is not a big deal. So whatever happened before in this year, that can be only a sale and purchase, nothing else. So furniture was sold for 8,000 rupees at the beginning of the year was the point that is mentioned. So the point is, how much worth of furniture is sold? That is the question. So 28,000 opening balance became 14,000 only. So if you sold 8,000, it should be 20,000. But why is it only 14,000? That means there is a loss on sale of furniture. 6,000 rupees is the loss on sale of furniture. In other words, furniture worth 14,000 rupees was sold for 8,000 only. That can be inferred from this. So this 6,000 is credited to the furniture account. Then that can be debited to the income and expenditure account also as loss on sale of furniture. That is 6,000. So how can we get that? That is a balancing figure of furniture account. Ideally 28,000 furniture becomes 14,000 means remaining would have been sold. That means 14,000 worth of furniture would have been sold, but that is sold for only 8,000. That is only sold for 8,000. Means what? Definitely that 6,000 rupees is the loss on sale of furniture. That is the inference we can draw from that point. Same way, machinery and sports goods are purchased and put to use at the last date of the year. So while calculating the machineries, whatever purchased, that we don't know already. That has to be inferred once again. So machinery 10,000 in the opening, it became 20,000 in closing. How is it possible? Is there any magic there? So by the way, here this furniture account is closed. That is over. What about machinery? Is there any magic that automatically 10 becomes 20? No, no way. It has to be purchased. That means there is a machinery that is purchased at 10,000. So debit machinery account, when you purchased, that means there will be a payment. So purchase of machinery definitely is there. How much? 10,000. That is a payment, means credit side of receipts and payments account. With that, machinery account is also closed. Same way, sports goods are also purchased. Then only it will become 25. How much purchased? Same thing. Purchase of sports goods. Incidentally, 10,000 only here also. That's what the accounts of machinery and sports goods tell us, that 10,000 worth of the assets have been purchased at the end of the year. That means there should not be any depreciation on them. Only depreciation has to be provided on the balances at the beginning of the year, because the timing has been given clearly. So I will come to the depreciation part later. First of all, the accounts wise, investment account is closed. Of course, it will not have any depreciation also. Furniture account is closed. Machinery accounts and sports goods accounts, all of them are closed. And we treated the other aspects as they are purchased or sold in the receipts and payments accounts also accordingly. Now comes the depreciation. 15% depreciation should be charged on machinery and sports goods, 10% on furniture. Question comes, on what amount? In case of machinery and sports goods, should we provide on the ending balance? Ideally, we should not. Why? Because they are given in the question that machinery and sports goods are purchased at the last date of the year. That means they are not to be provided any depreciation. So only the depreciation can be provided on the opening balances, which means 10,000 and 15,000. So depreciation obviously will be an income and expenditure account item. So depreciation on machinery. First, let us take machinery. How much was the percentage? 15% on 10,000. So 15% on 10,000 will be 1,500. Again, where it should go? It should be going to the balance sheet. From machinery, it should be reduced 1,500. That is depreciation for machinery. Same way for sports goods also, we can only provide on the opening balance, because the new sports goods purchased are not purchased in the beginning, they are purchased at the end of the year. So 2,250 is the only depreciation on sports goods, which is 15% off 15,000, 2,250. Again, what we should do? Reduce from sports goods, 2,250. That is depreciation on sports goods. 10% on furniture. So here also 10% on furniture. We have to understand the furniture sold was sold in the beginning of the year. So we should not provide any depreciation on the sold furniture. So we should provide only on closing balance of the furniture. That is 10% on 14,000 means 1,400. Depreciation on furniture, 1,400. Same way, again it has to be reduced from furniture, 10% on 1,400. So these are the treatments for depreciation, and also the other things like investments and other purchase of machinery and purchase of sports goods, sale of furniture. All the things we have to understand from the information given how they are actually happening, and how that can be done better with a account, so that there is no confusion. So account is very clear. And we have to also very clearly make an assumption, and which is clear also, that the balances which are given here in the question, closing balances of furniture, machinery, sports goods, are not after depreciation, because the question itself is asking us to charge depreciation. So these are not after depreciation. So depreciation has to be dealt separately, which has been dealt separately. Now other expenses are also made, which are given here clearly. That is the sports expenses 50,000. When it is an expenditure, definitely in the income and expenditure account, you will have sports expenses. How much is that? 50,000. But expenditure will have a payment also. That means buy sports expenses in the payment side of the receipts and payments account, 50,000. True treatments. Debit side of income and expenditure account, credit side of receipts and payments account. Then comes rent 24,000, out of which 2,000 is outstanding. So 24,000 is the rent, no doubt, definitely. So rent in the income and expenditure account is 24,000, but that is not completely paid. So 24,000 debit is okay. Credit here, rent that is paid is only 22,000. Payment is only 22,000 by rent. Payment is 22,000, but expenditure is 24,000. What happens to the remaining 2,000? Naturally, it is a outstanding rent. It's a liability. In the balance sheet, closing balance sheet, 2,000 liability. So here it is a credit, 2,000. Here it is a credit, 22,000. Total 24,000. Debit, 24,000. That is the treatment for rent. Miscellaneous expenses, 5,000. Just simply, you can debit the income and expenditure account, 5,000, and definitely there would have been a payment also when nothing is mentioned. Miscellaneous, buy, here 2 miscellaneous expenses, here buy miscellaneous expenses, 5,000, that is a payment which would have been made. So all the items, whatever is given, we treat it twice. So what happens with this model of solving the questions is, we will be under control. We will not have any problem with the balance sheet tallying, etc. We will know that our answer is correct. So that is the main advantage. Now let us take receipts and payments account, and we have to take the balancing figure of the receipts and payments account. So what is the balancing figure of receipts and payments account? For that, need to total the debit side and take the balancing figure as 3,45,000. So what is that? 3,45,000. Definitely closing balance of cash and bank, 3,45,000. So it is by balance brought down. Sorry, carried down. By balance carried down. So it's a carried down balance. Of course, it will become 2 balance brought down next year. That is a 3,45,000. So where this 3,45,000 should go? It goes to the balance sheet, closing balance sheet, asset side, cash and bank, 3,45,000. That is over. Receipts and payments account, story finished. Now, income and expenditure account, let us take the things to the outer column. Salaries. And after the adjustments, how much is the salaries that is actually incurred? 63,000. Paid is 60,000. So that adjustments have been done. Now, what about the subscriptions balancing figure? The total of this. So total of all these things, risk, outstanding and other things, all the other items adjusted, 3,55,000 is the subscriptions that is earned. So 17,500 is interest earned. So total of the income side is 3,72,500, and after the expenditures have been reduced, the profit is something. Profit we can call it, but we cannot call profit in this case. That is 2,19,350. 2,19,350. That is a surplus. That is surplus. So 219,350. Where that should go? That should go to the capital fund in the closing balance sheet and add to that. So add this surplus to the capital fund. So why are we doing balance sheet? Only to have our control on that. So first of all, we have the opening balance sheet already. All assets are there, 4,43,000. Some liabilities are there, 40,000. So what is the opening capital fund balancing figure? That will be 443 minus 25 minus 15. That is 4,03,000. That should be taken to the closing balance sheet. That is 4,03,000. So what is the, this is surplus, you can call it. Ideally you should call it as excess of income over expenditure. So this plus this, 622,350 will be the closing capital fund, outer column. And take all the other things to the outer columns also. Furniture after depreciation, machinery after depreciation, and also sports goods after depreciation. Take all of them to the outer column, and other things are all there. Now, obviously, the balance sheet should tally 670 to 350. So this gives us a confidence that everything has been done correct. Without these balance sheets, without the accounts that we opened, like investment account, furniture account, etc., we'll be always in a dilemma. Are we doing correctly or not? So that will waste more time. If you open these things, yes, it will take a little bit of few more minutes extra, but you can do the things quickly. Debit, credit, quickly we can do, and we don't have to be in dilemma all the times. Aspects and treatments we can do very comfortably, one debit aspect, one credit aspect, so that finally we'll know that our answer is correct. So that is another question which was asked in the past examinations. So such type of questions can be approached with more working notes than the original answer required itself. That concludes the current session, and we will solve some more questions in the next session. Till then, take care. Bye bye. Thank you very much.